For the past couple of months, I've been working with leaders of both parties to try and forge an agreement that would grow our economy and shrink the deficit. A balanced plan that would cut spending in a responsible way, but also ask the wealthiest Americans to pay a little more. It's the right thing to do for our families, for our businesses, and for our entire economy. Democrats and Republicans both say they don't want to see taxes go up on middle-class families. Thank you very much, everybody.
And welcome back. I'm Zane Marshall from Team Talk Show Sign to Time.
And I'm Leandra Banks.
And today we're going to be discussing youth and politics.
Yes, some different facts about the fiscal cliff and this year's re-election.
And general facts about our economy, our youth, parents, and young adults.
Yes, and how that our youth are becoming more aware, and they do know what's going on economically in today's time.
Exactly. We are making sure our youth voices are being heard, and we hope you guys enjoyed today's segment.
See you later.
Today we have Mr. Kitchen. He is the Vice President of the Young Democrats in Prince George's County?
In Maryland.
In Maryland. There we go. So how are you doing today?
I am doing good. It's a little cold outside.
I agree. So may you briefly explain your position as the Vice President?
Well, I've been Vice President of the Young Democrats in Maryland. This is about to be my second year. Mm-hmm. My job as Executive Vice President is basically to help our statewide president push forward initiatives that concern the statewide party as it relates to young people.
So speaking of the Young Democrats, how do you feel about our president and things that he's currently doing?
We are extremely excited about the president's re-election. It's something that we work very hard on here in Maryland. So we spent a lot of time sending people and recruiting young people to send to states like Virginia and Pennsylvania to make sure that those battleground states had the resources that they needed in order to make sure that the president won those electoral.
Well, I was excited that Obama won, President Barack Obama won, but I know a lot of people, a lot of people voted for Obama. Well, some people voted for Obama because he was the first black president. They only realized that he was black, but they didn't really realize what he wanted to do.
So I thought Barack Obama, he was going to lose for a second in the beginning because it was like 16-3. I'm like, come on, Obama, there's something over here. He was just a better candidate overall because behind closed doors, Ronnie was saying, oh, well, no one cares about the 47%. I'm going to listen to him. So, I mean, that's just how he was on the inside. We saw how his true colors.
It was very scary because when I saw the polls and I saw Mitt Romney, I was screaming, I was scared. I didn't want him to win, but when Obama won, it was great because Obama, he's the best for the job. He knows what to do. He's not going to mess up the nation.
So, yeah, but it was a very scary election. Even though it's weird because you get nervous about things. Well, I got nervous about that even though, I never met Obama and I've never been up there with all those people. We've been on Capitol Hill many times, but it's just funny to me that us as young adults can get nervous about something so serious, you know what I mean? And that nerve wracks us, that bothers us. People need to see, adults need to see, the world needs to see that, we're not stupid, and we are fully aware of what's going on in the world today, and we have views and opinions on it.
Make sure your voices are heard, and make sure, because a lot of people, they complain about, oh, this president's not doing this president's not doing that, and they're probably the main one who didn't vote. So it's you really can't say nothing, you didn't vote. So, if you guys had the opportunity to talk to Mr. President Obama about any current issues, what would you ask him, or what would the issue be?
Well, I would basically say that he is doing a good job as being president, and also his question about the casino passing, more casinos here. I was like trying to like maybe ask him like what would be another decision to make instead of that, because now like schools don't have the proper like maybe not like do anything that they want to do. Like if they want to have more like field trips or something, they won't be able to have that because they're going to spend all their money on the casinos and everything that doesn't really need to be here.
I thought that Barack Obama was doing a great job, and he should keep Obamacare, because like without that, like there's going to be a lot of people without health care. There's already so many people without it. Just imagine taking that away. It's just too much.
The one thing that I'm upset about is that those checks I used to get in the mail for my college in the future, I don't get those no more. So that made me upset, because now I don't get no more money.
And also to see if he can become a president again. I know you can't have that,
I
but
know.
if someone can change that, because he's a good president, and I like to have him maybe for the rest of my life.
We have a black man in the White House. I never thought I would live to see that.
That I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
One of the things that I intend to do is to help us pick up more seats in a Democratic Senate so that we can actually move things through the Senate and I can sign legislation that I think is going to be important to the American people.
We are continuing our trend to march back to getting the Democrats the majority back in the House of Representatives.
Sounds like a lot.
It is a lot.
So for those who don't know, like, what are some of the pros and cons behind your title, being vice president? Because it sounds like a lot.
lot.
Well, it is, and there are a lot of pros to being in this position. I think I have the opportunity to work with party officials, elected officials. Some of the cons about that is, this is not a gig that I take and get paid a lot of money to do, and so I still have a full-time job. Some people may say it's two jobs, but I still have a full-time job that I work all day, and I still have to have these statewide responsibilities. However, I think that you're only young once, and so while I'm young, I want to do as much as possible, have as much experience as possible, and so I'm enjoying this role. I'm enjoying this position.
Yeah. Now, what is like the age range?
So the Young Democrats in Maryland we don't have a minimum age. So you can join when you join. Most people join when they're in high school. But we represent all young people who are registered Democrats or profess to believe in the democratic principles that are under the age of 36. But it's a huge number of people. Here in Maryland, it's a huge amount of people. And I've been involved in this organization since I was 13. I am 26 now. I care passionately about it because I believe that the issues that we fight for are issues that determine what type of generation we'll have and what type of future we'll have.
Definitely.
But it seems like it's very time consuming.
Yeah, very.
It is. I mean, I'm executive vice president, and pretty soon, come February, most likely I'll be president of the Young Democrats. But then I'll have, I know I'm so excited about it. So then I'll have statewide responsibilities, but also national responsibilities. Because all state presidents serve on the national committee.
Right, that's
And
good.
side note, like, are you guys looked at as politicians? Because I don't know much about
That's
the
a
Young
good
Democrats.
question.
If you look at most people in the Young Democrats, they are politicians or aspire to be politicians.
Okay.
That's not everyone, though. I mean, if you look at the legacy of our organization, Steny Hoyer used to be the national vice president of the Young Democrats when he was young, when he was younger. Frank Cradaville, who used to be a congressman from the 1st District and now he's a judge, he used to be a state president of the Young Democrats. And at one point 4 years ago, half of the county council were all former Young Democrats.
Wow.
And currently, council members Mel Franklin and Will Campos and Karen Tolles are all they're actually all current Young Democrats. But that's not all of the people who make up our organization. We have a lot of people who care passionately about their communities, and they may be better framed as being community organizers or community activists.
So, how does the Young Democrats, either yourself or you as a whole, how do you all feel about this upcoming fiscal cliff? Or how do you think that's going to affect our generation?
So look, when we talk about the fiscal cliff, I mean, it's a huge thing that I don't think a lot of people adequately understand how impactful it can be for young people in general. You know, I'm a young person. When they talk about tax cuts impacting middle class people, that is me. Like, it is me. But the whole tax debate was, will we raise taxes on people making over $250,000 a year? Or will we raise taxes on people making over $400,000 a year? If we did not solve that situation, then everybody, so people like me and people like everybody in here, would pay more in their taxes. So finally, we have a president who stood up and said, you know, I'll take us all off the cliff unless we solve this issue, because eventually, if we don't solve this issue, then we all do go off the cliff, because our deficits have been extremely too high for extremely too long. The president believes that yes, we can cut spending. We can cut spending without impacting people who need our help the most, but we can also ask people who have more money than they need. And I always get in trouble by saying need, because then people start about like redistribution of wealth and things like that. But we are talking about people who have more money than they need and more tax cuts than they've even asked for. And so we can take a little bit more, take them back to the 1990 rates where our economy did way better than it's done now, and help cut down the deficit.
People are talking a lot about the things that Obama isn't doing or things that he could be doing. But what a lot of people aren't realizing is that he has already done a lot of things already. He has overhauled the food safety system. He's advanced women's rights in the workplace. He's ended the don't ask, don't tell policy in our military. He has passed the hate crimes bill, appointed two pro-choice women to the Supreme Court. That's a big deal. Expanded the children's health care insurance program, and the list clearly goes on. There's a lot of things that Obama has done for us in these 4 years that he has been in office. And I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud that he is our president. And I feel like this re-election, it was the best thing for us as America as a whole. And I feel like we will see change.
Definitely.
Because we've had seen change in the 4 years that he was in office. So I think people should keep their faith in Obama and stop necessarily thinking about the things that he hasn't done, but look at the things that he has already done to help change our nation as a whole.
Right. And it's not, necessarily about what Barack Obama hasn't done. It's about, us as people coming together in the support of what he's trying to do and what he has already done, and stop dwelling more so on what's not being done. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they like to, criticize, what's not being done or what's not being produced right. But if we stop criticizing and we come together, then maybe, that law or that bill can't get passed.
Right.
We gotta look at everything as a, Democratic Party. We gotta really come together.
And also another thing that we must keep in mind is that Barack Obama the power is not fully in his hands.
Right.
He still has a long line of people that he also has to answer to and figure out what do they think and do they approve of this. That's why we have. That's why he has a Congress. That's why he has all those people to help him make those really hard decisions and see what's best for our communities and our states. So people always want to say, oh, Barack's not doing this, Barack's not doing that. But you have to look at your senators, you have to look at your delegates, you have to look at your local officials as well and see what are they doing to further help your community or your state as well. So it's not always just Obama's fault.
Right, exactly.
Can you briefly explain about the young Republicans, because we were talking earlier.
They have issues.
And
Romney was too wishy-washy. Like, he would always change. He was more like a people pleaser. Like, oh, I'll do this if you vote for me.
Because Mitt Romney, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's gonna mess up everything that Obama did those 4 years.
I was just thinking about what would happen if Romney won. Exactly. And then it was just good to see President Barack Obama walk on stage with his daughters and his wife and they seemed really happy.
So, is this the Young Republicans of Maryland as well, or are they specific? Do they do counties, or is it a state thing?
There are the Young Republicans and the Young Republicans of Maryland. I think they're called the Young Republican Federation of Maryland. They have a statewide network. Theirs is not as large or expensive as ours because their message does not speak to young people like ours does.
Right.
Unfortunately for them, very fortunately for us, happen to be in a state that a very progressive state made up of minorities who most people believe enrich our lives and enrich our culture. And so that means that the demographics of Maryland is not conducive to the Republican Party. And we believe that we all do better when we do better together. And we believe that minority groups and minority interests and women and things like that, they enrich our lives and they enrich our diversity and they enrich our state, and they don't.
The Katie Able Foundation is very high on financial education, so I want to know how important is financial education to you, and how important do you think it should be amongst our youth today?
I think that, financial education, financial literacy, that is probably an area of education that we have not approached well with our young people. We need to better prepare our people to deal with, and there's no group of people in the country more ripe for preparing for this than young people, than students. The American people, we are old, as individuals, we spend too much, we save too little. So for me, as an educator, as someone who works with young people each and every day, I will say that this is a huge issue that we have to get more serious about, that we have not dealt with adequately. We need to be more serious about doing it. I know that one of the things that the Katie Able Foundation has advocated for is financial literacy as a graduation requirement for students. And we can do more if we overhaul our education system in a comprehensive way. And until we do that, I think that the Katie Able Foundation and other people like Comptroller Francho and other people who advocate for making financial literacy a graduation requirement are going to continue to hit that wall of resistance from educators and people who have to get this much into a school year that's this big. And this issue around financial literacy is one of the things that teaches young people how to be better citizens, how to think for themselves, how to be better leaders amongst themselves. And we just haven't gotten around to doing it.
So what advice do you have for our youth that doesn't necessarily think financial literacy is as important, or for the ones that necessarily don't grasp the importance of financial literacy?
Get a job. Because the moment they get a job, they're going to figure it out. The moment they get a job and they worked all those hours and things like that, so they're happy, here come Friday or the 1st or whatever day they get paid, they get that job, they work this many hours, and they get that check, and they see that this man named FICA is coming to take his percentage of your money, and Peter Francho's coming to take his percentage of your money, and Tim Geithner, the Treasury Secretary, is coming to take his percentage of your money. They will understand the need for financial literacy. But more importantly, once they get a job and understand how stressful and frustrating it is to be in a position where you have a job, you work a lot of hours for this job, you work very hard, and yet you are still living paycheck to paycheck. So basically, if I don't get paid on the 15th, we're going to have problems. And so if I lose my job, we're going to have problems because I only made enough to get me to the 14th and a half. Once they realize how frustrating that is, and then how rewarding it is to come up with a financial plan where you may have to spend less on the front end, but you can be less stressed about your revenue and how successful you will be at making ends meet, then they'll understand how important financial literacy is. Because sometimes we make this process more complicated than it actually is. And creating a budget for your household is not as complicated as it actually is.
So in closing, do you have any remarks before we close?
I just think that I've watched the Katie Abel Foundation. I learned about the foundation through my dear friend Errol Burroughs, who's a member of the Board of Education, and he just thinks Carmen is amazing. He just loves Carmen. I hadn't thought about financial literacy in the way that Edward and Errol Burroughs, Carmen, you all, or even my friend David Murray, who at the time was on the State Board of Education. And when Errol was talking to me about expanding my curriculum, I told him, no way. No way. But after meeting Carmen and talking to Carmen and seeing the work of the foundation, I've been amazed about the work of the foundation, and I only wish it the best. And I think that the foundation has opened my eyes to how ways that we can incorporate skills of financial literacy to our young people at the age that they actually need to know it. And more importantly, the foundation has instilled in me the belief system that this is not negotiable, that we have to do this. If we ever want to improve the lives of our young people, improve the financial stability of our communities, and more importantly, of the communities that make the communities like here in Prince George's County. Good luck with the work that you do, and I'm available to help as much as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Yes, we do. And again, this is Mr. Joseph Kitchen, Vice President of the Young Democrats of Maryland, soon to be president,
Yes.
possibly. Today we just want to kind of have just an open discussion just about some of these questions, some of these topics that we have listed. And it's just an open conversation, an open discussion. Anybody can chime in, questions, debate, whatever the case may be. Great.
So let's get started. What do you guys think about, what are your views on financial literacy? How important is financial literacy to you all as college students? Anyone can start.
Well, personally, I don't know much about financial literacy, but I feel like it's important for me to know, because I feel like it relates to how do I balance my budget, or how do I manage my money and all that stuff. I feel like, part of this young adult experience is just knowing how you do your finances and stuff.
Well, from my understanding, financial literacy, you have to be able to understand your finances in order to make wise decisions,
Well, to me, financial literacy is empowerment. Your ability to understand exactly what you're getting yourself into, be it taking out a grant, taking out a loan, being issued a grant or a scholarship, and knowing everything that entails. If you're on a scholarship, knowing you must keep a certain GPA, and that there are responsibilities to any money that is issued to you.
Community college is just as expensive as going to a university. And you get the same experience as going to a university, although it's a community college.
So, how do you guys feel about community colleges compared to a regular college, being here?
Go ahead.
Well, I haven't been to a university yet, but I'm trying to use as many resources as I can in the community college so I can, better at least my education here and my time here as a kind of stepping stone for a university.
I haven't been to a university either, but just being here at the community colleges, it's just like the teachers, the professors, they're good. It's just like we get the same, because I have sisters that's at universities. It's like we both help each other out. Like her homework she have and my homework I have, it's like the same thing. So it's not like community colleges is like down here, universities up here. It's like the same thing.
Me personally, I feel that it doesn't necessarily matter if you're going from a community college to or a university. It doesn't really matter what it is. To me, it's your approach, it's your perspective. If you go into it thinking a community college is going to be different from a university, then for your experience it will be.
So what about politics? What do you guys think about politics?
Not too big on it.
Not too.
How do you guys feel about the election?
Woo.
I was happy with it. I was a little worried at first, but you try to keep faith. But there was one point I was just kind of saying, I'm gonna go to Canada.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to Canada, but then it's
scary.
it's
really is scary.
because it started off really slow, but eventually it picked up, and I was like,
Yes.
it happened anyway.
So what about question 7?
I have mixed reviews.
Do you?
I really do. Oh, go ahead.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like, because they say it's for education, of course. That's what, they want us to believe. But I hear from, I know people that's like teachers, they go like to my church and everything. They said the money is not going to go to schools, education. Do not vote for question 7. But then you have on the other hand that it will bring jobs. I voted no. But, I mean, it passed anyway.
Right,
so it's
exactly.
A friend of mine was like, the idea that it's going to create jobs, it'll create some, but not necessarily as many as their pitch. How is this going to reach our schools? Because our schools need it. But it's just there was no concrete plan or steps that was given that made me, kind of suspicious about it. And I said, I cannot back this. So.
I would vote no if I could vote. But basically, yes, it is creating jobs, but with the state of the people here in Maryland, we don't want jobs. We're trying to promote people who get careers.
Yeah, it sounds good that it will generate jobs, but it always comes back to the point, who does it generate jobs for?
Although I did vote for it.
Why? I
did. Because instantly I was thinking about, okay, jobs, education. But then as I did my research, they did the same thing with lottery. They said education and same thing. I was like, oh my God.
They were supposed to give like at least half of their money from the lottery to education. And it never happened. It never happened.
So I'm sorry.
People just didn't know.
Right.
If they knew enough, then they would have not voted for
Right,
it.
exactly.
So do you guys have any additional questions for us?
Or anything you want to share or any advice you might have to give to our other youth or anything like that? If not, it's cool, but I think we had a good session.
Yeah.
I think you guys are all super smart, and I love talking to you guys. We should do this again sometime.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're ending our session with our youth, and they've all voiced their opinions on what they thought about the economy and things of that nature. So now they are going to go around the room once again, say their names, and if they had to say something to President Obama about financial literacy, what would they say?
Hello, Mr. President. My name is Caleb. The mayors in Hyattsville were trying to cut the services provisions and make cut $200 tax to the citizens of Hyattsville and services. I think it would help the economy and all cities around the United States if you could address this problem going on.
Hello, my name is Yvonne, and President Obama, I was wondering maybe could you lower down the prices of food and clothing so my parents will have enough money.
Dear President Obama, my name is LaShawn, and I was wondering if you can reduce the prices on school uniforms because my parents can barely afford to buy school uniforms.
Hi, my name is Kingsley, and dear President Obama, could you please do something about the people who are homeless?
My name is Vanessa, and dear President Obama, could you change the economy by giving people more jobs so they won't be homeless and so they can pay their rent?
My name is Caitlin. Dear President Obama, can you please lower the taxes because my parents can barely pass the rent and the bills that they need to.
My name is Jasmine. President Obama, I would like you to help the immigrants get to the United States to help the economy because my family needs help and they're ill and they need jobs.
And that's a wrap, my good people. Once again, I'm Zane Marshall.
And I'm Leandra Banks.
And thanks for checking out today's episode.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @Katie Gable.
Until next time.